Preparations on the grid are wrapping up as we brace ourselves for the start of today's big race. The Baku City Circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers and is made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequences for all of our drivers. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, or trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Hamilton, Ricciardo, Sainz, Giovinazzi, and Lando Norris, Stroll, Perez, Esteban Ocon, and Grosjean, Gasly, Magnussen, Kimi Raikkonen, and George Russell, Kvyat, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Revving up to 5 red lights for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and it's lights out and away we go. A long wait for the lights, and that's not a great start from, I believe that's Valtteri Bottas. As here goes Verstappen, a stunning start from him. From pole position, incredible qualifying yesterday. And that means Sebastian Vettel's now in second place. Look at how much he's caught up there. Followed by Alexander Albon now in third place. Followed by Charles Leclerc and then Lewis Hamilton, I believe. And now a small cabin glitch, unfortunately. But no positions had changed in that very small amount of time. And that's Antonio Giovinazzi, who's made another great start. He's right up there in 7th place, I believe. An incredible start from the Alpha driver after what has really not been a great car this season. A lot of cars in the midfield starting on the medium tires, going onto the softs. As we continue to go down the field, that's Lando Norris, followed by Pierre Gasly, and then I believe that's Lance Stroll. And the Williams are at the back, and that's Kimi Raikkonen some ways down from his teammate there, just probably showing where the Alpha should be, but Giovinazzi just had an incredible qualifying as well as an incredible start to this race. As did Max Verstappen, who is holding that gap to Vettel, and Albon is now catching Vettel. All the way up to third place goes Alex Albon, a great start from the Red Bulls. Currently a 1-3 without a Mercedes on the podium. This is pretty much the dream scenario for them. Probably a 1-2 would be a little bit better, but at the moment it is going great for them. And now, unfortunately for Albon, that Honda engine has struggled this season. On board with Vettel there quickly. You can just see, despite having slipstream, Vettel does have some slipstream. We can see Hamilton now trying to go for a move on Charles Leclerc. They're going to go side by side. Who's going to be later on the break? Leclerc has the inside. Hamilton's going to go right round the outside. What a move. He's going to get the better grip. Brakes later into turn 2. An incredible move coming to lap 2 now. And what a move by Lewis Hamilton to go from P6 to P5, overtaking Charles Leclerc around the outside of turn 1. You can see just back there, Renault, I think, overtook the, yes, Ricciardo's overtaking Giovinazzi. Unfortunately, Gio might start dropping down the field as that Alpha's just really not that good. But he is surely going to do the best job he can. As we continue to look through the field here, Danny Ricciardo doing a great job up in 7th place now. Although the season didn't get off to a particularly amazing start, that Renault is looking mighty quick, and at this track it did have one of the highest speed traps. So it seems like that car does not have too much drag, and the Renault engine is actually a very good one. But it's still Verstappen after the incredible qualifying yesterday, who holds the lead, and he is pulling from Vettel just ever so slightly. And And it's just an amazing job from Max Verstappen at the moment. From the great qualifying to the great start, he has absolutely nailed everything he needs to so far. But it's only lap 2, and anything can happen. And being Baku, that is very much true. And a possible safety car or something could really screw over Max in this race. As he looks to retake the championship lead. Now you can see Leclerc's lost a lot of time. Hamilton and their Albon just not quite close enough, but he's keeping up with Vettel, which is more than can be said in many of the previous races. After a very disappointing start to this season, it looked like Albon might actually be sacked from Red Bull until now we can see he's doing an incredible job, although that is Valtteri Bottas, I believe, on the back of him, and now we're on board with Sebastian Vettel. And Bottas not quite close enough to Albon to make a move, and that's allowed Hamilton to catch up as well after dropping into 6th place at the start there. Hamilton up in the 5th, and now he's looking quite feisty and quite quick. But Verstappen still pulling from Vettel, mostly in the 2nd sector, as that is really where the Red Bull excels, and this Red Bull has just been incredibly fast. It's been okay on the straight, still the worst out of the top 3 teams, but through the corners they are absolutely unmatched. And you can really see it with Albon, and more so with Max, who's just been flying through the corners. Now we are coming towards the end of lap 3. Here Albon is still kind of close to Vettel, as Vettel is now losing touch with Verstappen. Max just has some incredible pace here, his incredible speed, his incredible skills under braking, and just general outright speed, as well as the Red Bull seem to be a very quick car here today. Despite its lack of straight line speed, its cornering speed is just absolutely astonishing. So it's 2013 days, the early 2010s. That is really how fast they are, although Mercedes could very well be just as fast, although they are kind of stuck behind Albon at the moment. And Albon doing an incredible job, possible podium at the moment. This would be his first career podium after an attempt at the Brazilian Grand Prix back in 2019 that was ruined by contact with Lewis Hamilton. But here we are, Albon. He can defend really well. He can possibly get that podium, but it's very difficult to defend at this track with the straight being as long as it is, and the Honda engine not being particularly the best. It looks like Red Bull might also be running a lot of drag because of how good they are on the corners. Surely they can't have too much down. Surely they have a lot of drag. Sorry. As we go through the field, AlphaTauri pretty low there, not doing a great job. That Honda engine, the Alpha, not working as well as it is in the Red Bull. Sorry, and Verstappen does cut that corner a little bit, but he does also lose the back end on the exit. It doesn't look like he's actually gained all that much time, but he's flying through through Castle. Currently on lap 4, the gap is pretty steady to Verstappen. As you can see, despite Albon being in that DRS and slipstream, that Ferrari is simply too fast in a straight line. And into the pits goes, I believe that's Valtteri Bottas, who's trying an undercut possibly on Albon, Verstappen, and Vettel. And you can see how close Albon is to Vettel now. It's incredible pace here. It looks like a couple other drivers have pit, and yes, Verstappen, the race leader, is pit. And that's why Albon couldn't pit, and now he's come out in front of Valtteri Bottas, and now it is up to Max to make these overtakes now, because he's caught in a bit of traffic, but he's on those fresh tires, and if he can make the most out of the fresh tires, this will work. This undercut will help him pull a nice gap to Vettel. But I don't think it was worth the risk to take the undercut. They should have waited for Vettel to pit, I believe, but they believe Verstappen has the pace to overtake these guys, and it has to be said, his pace has been incredible this season. His overtaking skill has always been incredible, but he has cleaned up his act a little bit Although we do see a little bit of that 2016 Verstappen. Every once in a while, of course, you know, that is the aggression we do like to see. And here he is on the back of Kevin Magnussen. He can't quite go for it into this right-hander. It's just a bit too tight to really be making an overtaking. Now he's really losing a lot of time behind that Haas. That Haas is not very good through the corners. That is going to cost Verstappen a lot of time here. And Haas on the soft tires, Verstappen on fresh mediums. He really needs to get past. But looks like Bottas is behind a Williams. You can see the straight line deficit is not great. He's catching up so much under braking through the corner. He's just got so much more speed. Verstappen over Magnussen. I do believe K-Mag will be pitting this lap because he is on soft, and Verstappen goes a little bit wide there. And he's still right up behind Magnussen despite going wide and getting caught a little bit on the curb like Kimi did back in 2018 in qualifying at this track. And now look at how close he is. And yes, Magnussen will be pulling into the pits, I believe. As we move on to lap 6 now for the leaders. And here goes Verstappen now down the straight. He's coming very fast on Kvyat, and he's absolutely sending it down the inside into turn 1. What a move by Max Verstappen. And we need... Verstappen needs to be aggressive like that, and now that looks like Stroll and Kimi Räikkönen going side by side, and Stroll round the outside. Kimi just not getting the better exit, but I do believe he has DRS, and now Verstappen's going to be catching up to that group of cars. That is Sebastian Vettel. I don't know. I guess he is in front of Valtteri Bottas because Bottas got caught behind the Williams, and he still can't pass the Williams. I believe that's Russell. And then that's on the outside there. Is that Lewis Hamilton? No, sorry, it's Bottas. He made the move there. And I do believe, yes, Lewis Hamilton has overtaken Valtteri Bottas, I believe, in the pit stop phase. Now as we continue to go down the grid, I do believe Hamilton is overtaking Bottas because Bottas was stuck behind the Williams, and that is a massive blow to Bottas. But Hamilton on fire, he's absolutely flying at the moment. And with this pace, he could very well win this race. As he was down in 6th place to think, now he's up into 3rd. Of course, the overtakes he did make were because, well, one of them was on track and one of them was in the pits, but of course, it does take still a lot of skill to make that move with the overcut as you're on more worn tires. And now that's Albon, who had just pulled in the pits at the start of lap 6 here. And that's Max Verstappen making an overtake, an easy move on Lance Stroll down the straight. And there's the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel making an overtake on Daniel Kvyat, who's not been having the greatest of races, but he's on the mediums, meaning once he goes on the softs, he'll be much faster, and Albon's lost a ton of time there. And that's Lewis Hamilton! And not quite. Hamilton 4th place there. He's made the overtake on Bottas, and now with this pace, surely he'll be able to pass Albon pretty soon. With the DRS, the straight just isn't quite long enough to make a move. But yes, Albon has lost a massive amount of time to Vettel, doing a 2-lap overcut as Red Bull were really worried Albon was getting caught in traffic, and they just kept him out there for such a long time, and now he has dropped off quite a lot to Vettel, which does also kind of mean that Hamilton's chances of winning a race do seem kind of out of the question now, simply because he's behind Albon, and I don't think Albon is very close to Vettel, and it's even further from Verstappen, so that's unfortunate for Albon. But can Albon, on the fresher tires, hold that podium? Hamilton's looking very quick, so I'm not quite sure, but if he can really push it, possibly his first career podium. Of course, Hamilton and Albon have had their contact before, as Albon was chasing a podium last time, and now question remains, will this end in contact, or will Lewis be able to make the move cleanly, or will Lewis even be able to make the move? Will Albon defend aggressively? We're all very excited to find out. As you can see, I believe that's Lance Stroll, followed by Sebastian Vettel. Down the straight, Stroll pulls in the pits, as does, I believe, Kvyat. And now this is Max Verstappen, I think. Yes, this is Max Verstappen. Going down the straight here. 2nd straight, and Here we are on our onboard replay of how he overtook Kimi Räikkönen, and now look at that, late on the brakes, round the outside of the right-hander. That earlier I said you could not make an overtake out of Max. He's just done it. An incredible move by Max Verstappen, as now we cut back into the race, but Max, late on the brakes, round the outside, and there, on the subject of round the outside, we can see Hamilton has sent it round the outside of Alexander Albon, but Albon has DRS. He's going to come back, and Hamilton. Bottas is having a look left and right, and Hamilton's on the outside of Albon. Now we cut to a replay of the start of how Hamilton made that overtake. He's on the outside of Albon. Albon's going to come back at him down the inside. They're going to go side by side through turn 1, and then Hamilton gets a much better exit coming through turn 2. Albon late on the brakes. Hamilton locks up. Albon's on the inside. They make contact. Then they go down this next straight. It's Albon with the DRS. But Hamilton has the straight line speed. Surely Hamilton is using the overtake button or something, because that Mercedes engine is very good. But Albon comes back out down the inside, and just like we saw earlier, he wasn't quite able to do it, and that's very unfortunate for Albon that he couldn't quite come back with the DRS. And that means Hamilton is now up into the top 3, and unfortunately it means Albon is not in the top 3, but still a decent performance from the young driver at Red Bull. But Hamilton is just on fire today, and he is really flying, and now he's going in pursuit of Sebastian Vettel, still some ways up the road, and has been pretty quick this race. But this race, Lewis has been even quicker. Lewis and Max, this race, have really quite been on another level from everyone else on track. Now Albon still trying to keep up with Hamilton. Look at how much time he's lost. Look at how much time he's lost. I don't believe he has any damage or any engine problems. It's just Lewis being incredibly fast on Mercedes. Really stretching his legs now, showing just how fast it really is. And that's Bottas going for it on Albon now. Looking one way, going to the outside now. And then Albon again into turn 1 later on the brakes, but once again Bottas gets a better exit, and a much better exit than Hamilton did. And it does look like that move is, it's Bottas. It's just, oh, Bottas is back in, but Albon just doesn't have the speed on the exit. He just doesn't have the speed. He can't quite get on the power as soon as Bottas does, and Bottas just left him for dead on that straight. And Giovinazzi still doing an incredible job here. Up, I believe, in P8. Still getting some decent points for the Alfa Romeo team. They really should not be battling for these places, but I see McLaren's struggling a little bit. They have the pace, they just can't quite make these overtakes. Now this is Max Verstappen flying through there. Look at the speed he can take compared to everybody else. And Max Verstappen continues to pull away. Bottas is pulling from Albon, not quite as much as Lewis was able to. He's still a little bit far if Albon did want to come back at Bottas, but I'm not quite sure he'll be able to. That's Ricciardo, I believe, best of the rest at the moment, and now Giovinazzi's really coming under threat from the cars behind. They are on soft tires. At least the Racing Point, I believe that's Sergio Perez on the softer compounded tire, and it's not really going to be too hard to get past Giovinazzi, and that's Ocon staying in front of Stroll, I believe. So I know that's, I believe Ocon is in front of Perez, and that's Stroll battling Battling Giovinazzi, another strong one from Stroll after a strong performance in China. Once again, showing he can really keep up with Perez this season. Comes Albon with some decent straight line speed there, but he's just not quite close enough to the Mercedes. And look up ahead, Hamilton was just pulling away, and there goes Stroll down the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi, and now it's the McLaren, and round the outside goes Sergio Perez on his former teammate Esteban Ocon. And now, if you're wondering what happened to Lando Norris, unfortunately on the start-finish straight, he got an engine failure, meaning he is now out of this race. He was not in the points, so I don't believe he would have gotten any points anyways in this race, but it's still unfortunate. As we look down the midfield, watching now Max Verstappen once again flying through Castle and through Sector 2 in general. He's just so much faster than everyone. Now you can really see Hamilton has caught up to Vettel. He's absolutely flying now. Albon's not really losing touch with Bottas the way he did with Hamilton, and Hamilton is just flying in this race. He's really going all out hammer time at the moment. We're P6, now chasing down P2, and it would be very interesting, I think, to see Hamilton go toe-to-toe against Verstappen in this race, because they are both very fast. Max really has the speed in the low-speed corners and just generally at the corners, but Lewis would come back at him on the straights, and I think it'd be a very interesting battle. But unfortunately, Lewis started very low and did not have the best of starts, but now he's trying to make up for it. Lap 12 out of 13, he's really going for it. Trying to catch up to Vettel. As Leclerc is just kind of on his own, not really near anyone, and now Albon, he's got the DRS, so he's able to stay with Bottas and keep him in front of him, but he's not actually able to make an overtake on him. And there goes Sainz on Giovinazzi. Antonio Giovinazzi now dropping like a stone. And Sainz was on the mediums. I mean, Stroll was on the softs, so that made sense, but Sainz on the mediums. That is very unfortunate for Giovinazzi, who's just doing so good in this race, but in a car that's just not really that good. And that's being shown by Kimi struggling to even beat the Hasses in this race. Now Giovinazzi coming under threat from Sergio Perez, and I believe Perez is on the soft tire. Yes, he is, and I don't think Giovinazzi will be able to defend from Perez for very long. As Albon still staying with Bottas, and look at how much Hamilton has caught up to Vettel. He's really pushing now. This really is the differences between Hamilton and Bottas. When Hamilton really pushes, he can drive incredibly well. And it's not like Bottas is not a great driver. He is in front of Hamilton in the championship at the moment, but Lewis is doing everything he can. And now the last lap has started for Verstappen, and now Hamilton, I don't know if he's in the DRS, and even if he is in the DRS. You can see in his mirror, but he's just still kind of far from Vettel. And Vettel's got that Ferrari power unit on the straights, which is surely going to help him. And now that's one of the overtaking zones that Lewis was able to make overtakes, and it's gone now. Now it's turn 1, and now on this next straight, once again, if this was a Red Bull, possibly Lewis would be able to make a move, but since it's a Ferrari, I don't think Lewis is going to be able to catch up. And now there goes Perez on Giovinazzi, and around the outside goes Ocon, who's also in the softs on Giovinazzi, and it looks like behind there is Pierre Gasly possibly in the AlphaTauri. Either way, it is an AlphaTauri who's caught up to Giovinazzi, Had a bit of a train earlier in this race, and now once he's on the harder compound tire, he's just struggling so much here. He goes down the streak. And now here goes Gasly to the outside. Around the outside goes the AlphaTauri. Up here, Gasly's getting at the inside, and there he makes it. And it's just been a dismal race for Giovinazzi, who started off with so much promise at best of the rest, and now I don't even think he's in the points. And look at that, Hamilton all over the back of Vettel now. Through Castle. This could be a run up to the line, maybe, just maybe, and maybe he can try something. But we are not sure, as now Hamilton on the back of Vettel. Vettel's going defensive into the final braking zone of the lap. Hamilton had overtake activated there. Through the final corner of the lap, and now they go down the straight here. With the slipstream goes Hamilton. He's not quite fast enough. And he's got some speed, but and now he's backed off. So it was not quite enough, Lewis. The incredible push at the end was still not quite enough, but still Lewis, has to be said, drove an incredible race today, but it was still Max Verstappen who came out on top to win this race.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula